On the 22nd of June 2023, celebrations across the UK marked the 75th anniversary of the arrival of the Empire Windrush from the Caribbean in June 1948. With 492 migrants aboard, it was the first of many boats which started an era of migration from the Caribbean to the UK. In Brixton, a vast and colourful procession took place with local community groups, descendants of the Windrush generation, school children, artists, musicians, all bringing the streets of Herne Hill and Brixton to life to commemorate the lasting influence of the Windrush generation on Britain.
Essentially, for myself, it's commemorating and honouring the lives and the experiences of those of the Windrush generation and extending that legacy as myself as a young person. I have a strong tie to the Windrush generation because my grandparents came after the initial boat, and after that they built their livelihoods and their family and all that they know here. So it's important for me to be able to see that and essentially express it and elaborate it with others. By having such a honouring and celebratory event, it shows the governments and anyone who has negative feelings that we can embrace and show the efforts that people of the Windrush generation have put to build and to fabricate the Britain as well as Brixton and the local area, and understand that we are still living and we are living legacies.
Windrush 75 is so important because I think we as a society have to remember that this particular generation played a massive role in British history. And for far too long, certain elements of Black history have been kept out of our everyday narrative. And I've been so, pleased to see over this day, over the week, and over the past couple of years in particular, people just coming together, commemorating this generation, celebrating this generation, but also demanding justice for them. It's really, really important that we are celebrating them today, and we're talking about all the fantastic things that they've done, but we have to remember in all of that not to get lost in just the symbolism. And some of the school assemblies I've been at today, and some of the things that the kids have been doing in particular, have shown that whilst they are celebrating, they have not forgotten that this is a generation that still has not received the justice it deserves.
After the war, Britain had suffered major losses in its public sector and introduced the NHS, which has gone on to be the 5th highest employer in the world. But with little appetite to join the NHS from the British workforce, the government began to encourage migration from the Commonwealth to help rebuild Britain and fill huge worker shortages. Migration continued through the 50s, including this man, a local legend by the name of Clovis Salmon, otherwise known as Sam the Wheels, who migrated from Jamaica and is known for extensively filming the Brixton riots on his small camera. Hundreds more sons, daughters, nephews, nieces and grandchildren of the Windrush generation gathered to watch the symbolic arrival of a boat into Windrush Square before an afternoon of performances and speeches.
When people came here from Caribbean nations and other Commonwealth nations, a lot of them, because their countries have not yet achieved independence, were British. And when you come to live here and you work here and you have your family here, you have as much of a stake in Britain as anybody does. And I think it's important to teach our children that, and I think it's important to make sure that that's understood right across our society to help remove that really, really awful anti-migrant discourse, which quite frankly does nothing to benefit us.
Home Secretary, will you resign over Windrush?
In 2018, the government and Home Secretary Amber Rudd were engulfed in the Windrush scandal, as 83 people were wrongly deported and others detained and denied legal rights. But just days before Windrush Day 2023, the government disbanded the Home Office unit, which was tasked with reforming the department, as Home Secretary Suella Braverman said it was time to move on.
It is an absolute disgrace that when we're celebrating 75 years of the Windrush and Windrush docking at Tilbury Docks, that the government, having been the architects of this scandal, would actually set about disbanding the unit that was put in place to learn lessons and to correct the Home Office behaviour. It shows that the government haven't learned any lessons, and actually it just adds to the barrage of evidence that this awful government that we have has to go.
But that news certainly didn't stop the party atmosphere. While the day was partly about recognising the huge difficulties the Windrush generation faced in migrating to Britain, it was just as much a celebration of their physical contribution and enduring cultural influence in the UK. Take a look at the jubilant scenes of the day.